Dinner this week. Sunday, lentil soup, too hot for something heavier. Monday, crock pot pork chops and 3-bean salad. That's still a tongue twister. Crock pot pork chops, crock pot, wait. Crock pot pork, I can't even. Crock pot pork chops, top. Tuesday, grilled cheese and tomato soup. Wednesday, grilled steak, potato salad and corn on the cob, summer special. Thursday, shrimp scampi with spaghetti and salad and a bottle of white wine. Friday, meatloaf, mashed potatoes and broccoli. Saturday, quiche Lorraine and salad, watching our waistlines. Still, crock pot pork chops, crock pot pork chops, crock pot pork chops, crock pot pork chops, crock pot pork. All right, let's move on, shall we? Do some serious work on that chapter first. Oh, so he just wants to work on the chapter. It's not necessarily about whether he gets to go to the book reading or not, right? Right? The magazine says there are going to be tons of planes. Tommy, you're not going. I'm sorry. I really am. Is someone coming down the stairs? Oh. Hi, Linda. Don't mind me. That was close. I would hate that if we couldn't compromise between Dan and Linda on this one. Because that's what we're doing at this point. I don't know who we're going to favor, but we're compromising between the two.
Mom and Dad left this morning, and I'll never have to wear that sweater again. It's not just ugly, it's hot and itchy. And the why do you ask trick completely worked. I don't think I've ever seen Dad, I don't know what else to call it. He blushed. That made the trip worth it. Although seeing that Mom and Dad are doing well was great too. Maybe Dan and I will end up that happy down the road.
I hope so, Linda. You might have to be a bit forgiving this weekend, but I really hope that you can be. Yeah. We'll see, I guess. Oh, that's her writing the letter. Well, the, speech, for lack of a better word, at this point. Sorry, Linda. He needs to call and buy a ticket if he's coming to the funeral. Dan. Okay. Time to stare at our options, right? Dan, suspicious. Do some serious work on that chapter first. Linda, he needs to call and buy a ticket if he's coming to the funeral. Tommy, the magazine says there are going to be tons of planes. And, I mean, that's great. You know, it really is. Seriously great. No air show for Tommy. Okay, done. Dan wants to work on the chapter. Linda wants him to come to the funeral. Where's the telephone? Are both things upstairs? Because then we can just make our way upstairs, at least for now, while we think about it. Or is that the telephone? Oh, there's a note there I didn't read. How can I... Tell you what. Here come Dan. Hey, Dan.
I just checked that yesterday.
And then this one, please. Don't be difficult. You're already making life... Okay, you know what? Just let's do this. If he sees us again, though, that's it for us. Call Paul first thing tomorrow morning. Any possible way to move it? Is this thing announced yet? Hide in the light, please. Dan. I can't risk anything going wrong at this point. I think that it's such a sad... I just wish that... I wish Dan didn't have to go to the funeral. It was Linda's grandma, but her husband should be there for her. And in the end, right, I think she's going to really hold it against her. It's all she's asking him. He said he'll do anything. All she wants is for him to be there for her. And if he's not there for her this weekend, when he she really needs him, I can't think of another situation. She needs him now. It's tough. It's tough. And then you've got Dan's book, which Why does he keep following me? He's making this so difficult. Okay, you know what? Dan's book isn't as important as the family, and people will still buy it if he doesn't do the book reading, just not as many, and that's a sacrifice we're going to have to make. Okay. So this bit should be easy, right? We're going to investigate. No, 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 press escape to continue playing. Okay, that was bad. I just saw that I could click on something and I was like, that must be one of, these diary things. It wasn't. So let's try to find out more about Claire Bradford. I'm quite excited to see what she did with her. This isn't Claire's. I want to know what happened with Claire. Okay, it's okay. The Diary of Kay. Something, 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 something. Williams. Well. Kelly. Must be Kelly. Can't be Kirsty, because that's too long. Okay, here we go. Wants to be anonymous, we'll let her be anonymous. The Diary of Kay Williams. May 8th, 1952. J is gone. And I am alone. I was trying to figure out a name. It's just Jamie. Jamie is... J is gone and I am alone. That is the sum of it. No other thought enters my mind. Wait 38 years, now alone. A senseless accident has taken J from me. What I should do with myself I do not know. Money is no worry. Time. That is the thing. There is so much of it still ahead of me. I have been blessed with health, but that blessing is now a curse. It is nothing more than the curse of time alone without J. I attempt to look ahead, but cannot envision a path without J. For so long I had no need to imagine one. The children do not understand why I have come to this house alone, as they cannot understand my loss. So I definitely started reading that in the wrong tone, and it's actually a sad letter, so Kay has lost J, and that's sad. The Diary of Kay Williams, May 12, 1952. I cannot say that I feel better than I did upon arriving, for J is still gone, but I do feel a change. Some glimmer of a path has taken form in my mind. I cannot describe it other than a narrowing of thought. Perhaps time is alone is to be thanked, or perhaps it is something else, something unknown, someone unknown. Today I drove to McClendon's to buy coffee, wine, and vegetables, although I was not due to run short of those for a few more days. I confess I went to hear human voices, to be around the living. I conversed with a pleasant couple, and it did me no small measure of good. My first words came out as a croak, and I realized I had not spoken in days. A small reminder of my solitary days here, alone with my thoughts, thinking of J, staring at the sea just over the cliff. Though I must confess that my gaze always drifts from the sea to the edge of the cliff. Interesting. What, like to jump off? Surely not, right? I was just thinking it's a pretty view, and then... Oh dear. It's okay, Kay, you're gonna be fine, okay? Just keep on trying. I like to check this. Crock-pot pork chops. And let's head up. I am still gonna look out for Claire Bradford diary entries, because I'm quite interested to know what happens with that. I want to know if she ends up with him. Flips and everything. Tommy, I'm sorry. You can't have everything. But honestly, what has he had except... Oh, no. I was thinking what's he had except tutoring. But he has had camp. He went on camp and he had a friend sleep over, so that's good stuff. And that is a nice sweater, okay? So if Linda could stop calling it ugly, that would be great. Okay, let's go work on Dan, his chapter. Sorry, Tommy. Here it goes. Done. Helping his book, it's important. Oh, right. I think that his book, it's gonna help the family. And then, when the book is done and released, they can go to as many airplane shows as they like. Oh, he misses Joe too. So then it's really good that he's going to the funeral. Okay. But one day, myself one day, still come back. Okay. It's okay. Let's see what happens. This is our decision. And it's great. Dan couldn't bear the thought of Linda going to the funeral alone, so he bought a ticket and flew to Denver with her. The funeral was hard for Linda, but having Dan there made it easier to bear. They stayed up late the night of the funeral as Linda told Dan stories about Grandma Joe, and they talked of maybe being grandparents themselves one day. I'm so glad we did that for her. She shouldn't have to do that alone. Dan talked Paul into a compromise. He would work on the chapter and send it to Paul as soon as he could. Then Paul would try to talk Brackett into including the excerpt in their quarterly in-store preview. It wouldn't have the same impact as personal appearance, but would still build some awareness. Fine. Ah, Tommy! When Dan told Tommy they wouldn't be able to go to the show, Tommy had a crying fit and tried to tear up the magazine. It worried his parents. He hadn't thrown a fit like that for almost a year. It was exactly the kind of thing they had hoped to avoid by spending the summer in such a quiet, peaceful place. As July came to an end, the Kaplans' lives had developed a pattern. It really has, hasn't it, poor Tommy? Tell me about it. Dan finished his first draft, but instead of accomplishment, he felt disappointment. The book had gotten away from him. It was barely readable, much less publishable. Paul and Grofield gave him one last chance to get it into shape. They didn't have to tell him what the consequences would be if he couldn't get it together. There would just be no book. That would be bad. And on the following Tuesday, Tommy put on an art show in the den, explaining his drawings to his parents one by one. Dan made sure to ask questions and engage his son, who was more than happy to elaborate on his artistic intent. Dan and Linda clapped for each drawing, and by the end of the show, Tommy was beaming. Well, that's good. So Tommy's happy. So that's fine. On Friday, Dan and Linda both knocked off early, took Tommy to his aunt's house and drove to a bed and breakfast. They barely left their room. The guests in the room below complained about the noise, but the owner, who assumed that Dan and Linda were on their honeymoon, offered to move the guests to a different room instead. Well, yeah, so Dan and Linda are happy. Tommy's happy. What's the problem? They still had a month left, but Dan's chances to change the course of the summer were growing fewer.